Welcome to the Earth Your Wild podcast. We're your hosts, Jack and Ellie.
This is the podcast where we talk to industry experts and sustainable business owners to try to answer the question, how do I make my business more sustainable? So today we're speaking to Emma Olivier-Townrow from Stokes Coffee. Stokes Coffee is an award-winning family business with over 120 years experience in sourcing, roasting, blending and supplying their own coffee. They offer the finest tea and best coffee in Lincoln, as well as supplying to direct and wholesale customers across the UK. Emma is also passionate about sustainability, inclusion and innovation. Welcome to the podcast, Emma.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm proper excited. My first podcast, if I'm really honest.
Well, you've picked the best one in the world.
Brilliant.
We were keen to kind of hear your story a bit, but obviously also like this Stokes Coffee story because they're such an established brand and company.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, my personal journey through and in is quite interesting. The story of Stokes is fascinating. They've come a long, long way in 121 years. So I don't know where you want me to start, really.
At the start, yeah. I guess it's rare that you get companies that are 120 years old, and certainly with like the kind of the impact kind of sector, that didn't exist 120 years ago.
Yeah.
So
for me personally, when I first began to get involved with the business, that was one of the things I looked at as their business development manager, a bit of scrutiny on their sustainability and their practices and the business operations. And it was kind of mind-blowing that it had been within the DNA of the company for decades to practice as sustainably as possible, like way before it got trendy or, a realistic target for businesses. And that really gave me the confidence to start looking at a Queen's Award. I mean, obviously now it's a King's Award, but that was such a big, rigorous process to sort of audit the business in preparation for applying. And the more I looked, the more stones I unturned, the more really fabulous things I found. And I think it's sort of born out of that. I mean, they were established in 1902, and I think back then, it was about make, do and mend. It was about supporting the community. It was about doing the best by your workforce. And that's, really stayed within the business throughout the decades.
Yeah, like I've read, obviously I wasn't alive, but I've read like post-war, businesses were a lot smarter about, or more resourceful with their resources and their waste. Mm-hmm. And obviously they cared a lot more about their staff and looking after them, but somehow that, I guess, evaporated at some point over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see a company that's been there like for so long and been through all that change.
So they're fourth generation now. I mean,
wow.
They talk about first generation build it, second generation enjoy it, yeah, and then the third generation leaves it, and yeah, they're on fourth generation and just going from strength to strength. And I think that this sort of seismic shift as well around workforce culture. So traditionally, some of the employees had been in the business for 30 plus years. And over the last sort of 20 years, that's just not necessarily a thing. Mm-hmm. Younger people and, the new generations, they don't necessarily look for a job for life. They might do it for a couple of years and then move through. So I think that was, a concern of the MDs. And it was so sweet. But one of the things I said to him, okay, what do you want? What do you want me to do as your BD, as your business development? What's your biggest challenge? And he actually said, I probably shouldn't say this really, but he actually said, I just want everyone to stop drinking so much coffee because it's ruining the planet. And it was like, okay, we can work with that. We'll work around that. So that's the mission, to try and mitigate against, because coffee's not going away. As a nation, we love coffee. The CAGR, the consumer aggregated growth rate for coffee is exponential. It's just continuing to rise and it won't stop. And we've got a great product. We've got really fabulous knowledge. And, of course, they want to keep growing that and building that. And so where we can do absolutely anything we can to counteract and to mitigate against, the footprint of coffee.
What is the footprint of coffee exactly? I mean, I'm guessing it comes from a long way away.
Yeah, I mean, it grows in the equator. That's they've tried to grow it above and below the equator without much success at all. I joke with the scientists in Lincolnshire and my colleagues at the uni that maybe we could be the first, place in the world to grow it, and we could have greenhouses and make it work. But yeah, Ethiopia, Colombia, it's got a big footprint, and it's quite water heavy in consumption as well to grow.
So So obviously that's a big challenge for Stokes. How do you ensure that supply chain is ethical? And
yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing of Stokes is obviously because of the longevity of it and the fact that those relationships with farmers and communities and the brokers that we work with overseas are really, really long-standing. And the sort of, I can't suggest that R.W. Stokes was ahead of his time in relation to ethical practice, but I think there was a recognition that some of the communities they were buying product from and beans from could benefit from support and help. And so from day one there was very much an ambition to feed back into those communities, support them financially. So there's been all sorts of projects over the years to build community centres and a church and different projects. R.W. Stokes was a Methodist preacher, so it was almost like a sort of an integral part of who he was. But also, of course, all the accreditations, I mean, lots of those came about much later in the 60s and 70s, but making sure that their Rainforest Alliance and, their fair trade and all of those. And we're lucky that the farms and the producers that we work with are on the same page with that. And, there's an absolute base standard in the business that that's where we go and we'll work hard at that.
Is fair trade, does that...
what does it mean?
Does it mean non-slavery, or how does it work?
Yeah, it means the farmers get a fair price and that the middle person isn't taking, the biggest profit share out of it, because that's historically, and I'm no major expert really on those broker deals, but that's often what happens. Somebody will go and broker the deal and buy very, very cheaply and then sell it very high. And so the only people that really are losing out are the farmers that have put their backs into it and the communities that have made that product. So fair trade is a sort of an assurance that, the farms that you're working with do support their local communities and do pay a fair price.
Yeah. So I know we were talking about what's the chocolate company? Tony's.
It was making me think of that. Tony's Chocolate Only.
Yeah. I know, hard to say. But because they tried to create, I might be paraphrasing a bit, but I thought it was like they tried to create the first supply chain of cocoa that didn't have any slavery in. But then it still ended up having some slavery in.
Yeah,
it's so hard for them. I guess it must be similar.
They will actually go deep into the supply chain and try and find it actively because they're saying it's still happening. And they've been called out for it. So they've said this is how much slavery we found in our supply chain. People are saying, what? Well, surely that's what you're against. What, we can't buy your chocolate then. That's the whole point. It's so hard to eradicate. Yeah. And they're actively trying to do that. So I'm guessing it's really similar with coffee.
I'm guessing it's the same areas, is it, that they grow cocoa and coffee?
Yeah, I mean, R.W. Stokes started out as tea, coffee and cocoa.
Oh, wow.
I found in the archive an article from the Lincolnshire Chronicle in 1929 that said R.W. Stokes is without doubt the best tea, coffee and cocoa blender and roaster in the kingdom. What an accolade, in the kingdom. But yes, cocoa is very similar. And we don't do any cocoa product. We do a hot chocolate, obviously, but we don't really look at that side of it anymore. It's really the tea and the coffee. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a space for us to move into in the future, kind of revisiting and physically going over there as well and really, seeing if we can poke harder. And I think through our B Corp journey and through that accreditation, that opens up other networks of other B Corp organisations and practices and principles. And, we're interested in, beyond what we do in Lincoln and Lincolnshire, beyond our business practices. Where can we push this even harder? Where can we get this sector and the industry? I was fascinated. I go to the London Coffee Festival, which is an annual event, and it's absolutely brimming with hipsters and independent coffee roasters. I mean, everyone's got turned up trousers and beards and trendy glasses. You know, it's
Little
a proper
woolen hats on.
yeah, it's a proper hipster paradise. But I went, you know, for the first time about 4 years ago, with the hope that I would find some really front-facing, edge of the, you know, really out there, innovative, sustainable practice, or some conversations about it. And there was just nothing. It was really just all about the independent roasters and their new methods and their new drinks and things. And I recognise that as a sector, there's somewhere to go actually to push this a bit harder.
Yeah. I suppose the biggest part of the impact's in the supply chain, isn't it? With that product.
What's quite interesting is the fact that government are really pushing on international trade now. So I go on behalf of Stokes to the DEFRA conference every year. And for the last 2 years, the government and locally in Lincolnshire, they're really pushing hard for businesses to start exploring international trade. Well, there feels like quite an irony for us to bring a coffee bean over, roast it in Lincoln, and then fly it over to Dubai or, you know, to somewhere that loves the provenance of it and the cuteness of it, whilst at the same time the government are pushing us to push into local procurement contracts, so local care homes and hospitals and things, because allegedly procurements happened out of county, and for that circular economy, you know, you want it to stay in county, which we've done well at. We've really brokered those conversations and we've started to move into procurement positions with a number of big setups. But I'm baffled by the ambition to roast here and then fly it back somewhere else. It just doesn't, and it would counteract our B Corp stats and, you know, our footprint.
Seems a bit wrong. Do you think
Doesn't seem necessary.
Do you think climate change will affect the production of coffee? Because, you know, as the countries that produce it become more and more affected, I don't know, will that affect the production of it? Yeah,
there has been some anxiety in those parts of the world around the capacity and the available land and the, you know, the farming practices. There's a lot of work going on. It's somewhere we're keen. I do work a lot with the university, and we're an amazing county in relation to agri-food and our sector here, and the science and the innovation that we've got and the growth. And, you know, I imagine the future will bring something very, very different, and it might not be reliant on those mountainous regions. I mean, it's all about the climate, the moisture in the air and the heat and the hours of daylight. It's a really complex product to grow.
Yeah, I suppose it needs quite a specific range of environmental factors.
Yeah. I'd love to think that science will advance that for us somehow, and we will get there.
Can't they just grow it in a lab? Is that not the next stage?
You would think that would be the answer.
Yeah, I guess it reminds you how close businesses, particularly Stokes, are to nature, and how we need to look out for nature, because, you know, without that, you know, what are you? You can't continue to operate without the coffee.
Yeah.
It's also, I think it's easy for people to think, I'm just getting my coffee.
Yeah.
But, you know, actually, no, that's a really big global supply chain, big impact. And
I think you're so right. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
We've done a project with Lincoln Bigged. They commissioned an artist to create a sculpture for us on site for the public realm at our HQ at the Lawns in Lincoln. And we commissioned this artist, and we worked with her and the local schools on our doorstep, and the pupils came in and they looked at the coffee story, and they recognised that, you know, from bean to cup, that journey, and what a big journey it is, and a big long process. And then from that, they used that information we actually upcycled coffee pallets, and they printed and created, and they've sort of created this coffee tree that is then going to be positioned in the lawn, and people can come and sit under it and learn a bit more about the coffee story.
Cool.
But yeah, it was quite interesting, the people's response and this staggering recognition that, gosh, that's come a long way, that bean, to make my cup of coffee.
Yeah, I don't think people really consider it. It's so easy just to go.
It's like that with everything, though, isn't it? You know, toothbrushes and
Convenience.
avocados and bananas.
Yeah, you don't think about it. I mean, is tea similar?
Yes, it must be.
I believe so. Yeah, I think this is. I mean, tea's China and India, so there's a big footprint for that in relation to transport and travel and bringing it over. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a conversation in the industry that tea's going to sort of have a bit more of an uprising. So it's not a massive. It's a big part of what we do, but it's not as big as coffee in any way, shape, or form. And we constantly question, like, could we do more with the tea? And our tea is really popular. It's brewed for Lincoln. It's blended for Lincolnshire water, and it makes a good cup of tea. But there's a sort of recognition that actually the art and the ritual of sharing tea together, or having a pot of tea, and the sort of process of that, and the moment of pause where you're waiting for it to brew and things, but you do that together or whilst you're seated, rather than sort of waiting for your barista to make your coffee. And it's a faster process, and it's actually got slightly higher or reasonably good margins on it, and you can obviously sell a bit more quickly. So there is chatter in the sector that tea might come up and through in a different way and maybe rival coffee, but I don't know. I mean, there's a space as well for like health teas, turmeric teas and mushroom teas, and there's somewhere to go with all of that. For sure.
I have to say, I prefer tea myself.
I'm a tea person as well. Yeah.
Sorry.
What's the there's I looked up once like why they put milk in tea in this country, and isn't it because when they used to bring the tea leaves over, like everyone used to drink it when it was like green in like India or China or whatever, but then by the time they brought the ships back, it had like gone all black and obviously tasted all horrible and strong, so that's why they started putting milk in it.
Oh wow,
that's what I heard.
Oh, that's an interesting.
Might be true, might not be.
I'll check with Mike, our
tea expert.
He knows so much about it. I mean, he does a lovely tea talk, and actually we sell it as an online gifting sort of experience or process. So you sort of zoom in and he'll explain the origins of it all. And it is really fascinating, and I believe all teas, base tea is green tea, and then it sort of gets
older and stronger
into other products. But
what happens with the waste from coffee then? Like, what do you guys do with that? Because I guess that's another.
Yeah, I mean, we have significant waste products, and that's been one of the most exciting things for me to get involved with. So you have the husk from the roasting operation. So traditionally coffee is roasted over a flame, but we moved to an eco roaster, which has reduced our emissions by 80%.
Wow.
And the process of the eco roaster, the husk is a waste product, so it's like a sort of very thin peanut skin almost that comes off the coffee bean.
So each bean has a husk around it. Is that okay?
And we have a dustbin full of that nearly on a weekly, fortnightly basis, and that intrigued me. Like, what could we do with this product? So I started to work with Professor Nick Tucker at Lincoln University, and it was actually before lockdown we started, and so we had all sorts of exciting Zooms where we maybe got one student in Qatar, one in India, and he was based in Lincoln, and they were working really hard to look at the properties of the husk and to work out what might be capable. And we've actually now, they put a piece of plating together, and so they produced a bowl from this commissioned piece of plating, but basically the husk has been put into a solid form that is compost free and plastic free. And we know now it will make a waterproof, compostable product that we could use and resell. So there's somewhere for us to move into around creating a product line there with that, because we do sell peripheral goods to the sector,
You make coffee cups out of it.
Coffee cups, yeah. In fact, somebody has produced a husk coffee cup. We sell them in the shop, encourage people to bring their coffee cup back in and have their takeaway in their own cup. And it is made out of husk. So we know that's in the market already. So it's looking at where we might do something with the husk. There's also the filter grinds. So every coffee shop produces an inordinate amount of grinds every day, and they can be used for all sorts. People already use them in coffee logs and face packs, and they're good for compost. We put them around the grounds of the lawn at the base of all the trees for composting and fertilising. But we've used those and worked with the university to... Oh, that's so exciting, because they've now got us a product that's plastic free, compostable, and it will go through a 3D printer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that's
You
and
can make anything out of it then.
yeah, and they kind of went the other way with it. They started to extract the water from it as a waste product to see what properties it would have with the water extracted. Have all these phenomenal Zoom meetings when they go, Emma, guess what's happened to the T69 levels and the so and so, body weight this week, and I'm like, I don't know, what is it? And it's always like massively exciting. There's huge progress. And then we've got the hemp sacks. So all of our coffee comes over in hemp sack. If you ever need any, you're very welcome.
They look really cool, don't they? They have like print on them. Like I've seen them in like trendy coffee shops before.
Oh, they're so lovely because they've got a date stamp and the country of origin and a little bit of, there's always a bit of information around the coffee, some level of information on them, and they're quite colourful. But we've put those into tea trays, so plastic-free, compostable, and that's again another product that we could sell into the sector because every coffee shop uses tea trays. It's just they're projects at the moment that we need to look. I mean, we'd probably move into sort of KTP, knowledge transfer partnership with the university, and commission an academic to come in on that project and run and lead it and grow it. And there's so much other growth going on in the business at the moment.
That's cool. What's that company where they make stuff out of waste, like benches and just all sorts of random products?
Yeah,
is it called like Rework?
There's a waste company that I think they use plastic waste and they grind
make like,
it up and
like all sorts of stuff. Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You'd like make, just
on the name now.
Chairs and tables and cups and.
I feel like
is it Reworked? Or did I make that up?
It's something.
Reuse a box.
Yeah, I feel like we're falling down a rabbit hole almost because I never realised. It's obviously a really complicated business model. So obviously there are things that are pretty. So I guess one of your main jobs must be how to make this better for the planet, how to mitigate all these kind of planet damaging things. So can you give us an overview of everything? Because it sounds like there's some really amazing things going on. Like what are kind of the main things that you're working on to kind of?
Yeah. So obviously we're going for our B Corp accreditation, which we're just about to submit. I've been working on that for about 8 months. Which is seismic for a company of that age and scale. So real policy shift, governance shift. There's a challenge in the hospitality sector. We've got a workforce shortage. It was disrupted post-COVID. It was, Brexit, all of it. And there isn't an available workforce in Lincolnshire, and no one's attracted into hospitality, or it's a less attractive career route. In Europe, it's a legitimate career, but we don't not necessarily have that mindset. And so there's a challenge around that, and the opportunity to find a route as well as improve our sustainability, but to really cherish our workforce and create shareholder schemes and a bit more of a buy-in in relation to commitment to the business. So that's big. B Corp is big because it's really helping to sort of audit and organise our practices already. I suppose
you get a roadmap with that.
That's what I would say. Yeah, it's great. It gives you that direction, doesn't it?
And it's such a lovely tool, as in, you can get your big core baseline stuff done, and then you've still got somewhere else to go. And the bit that's really excitement is the procurement and procuring within 50-mile radius. We do that a lot anyway. As a business, we work with the local butchers, the local bakers, and they've always done it. They've got 50, 60, 70-year-old relationships, with some of those organisations. So the B Corps is one thing. There's a big engine that sits behind Stokes. So obviously we sell coffee machines to businesses. It's in our interest to make sure they've got a good piece of kit to roast or to make coffee with. And we deliver a lot of training around the use of those machines. We do a lot of online training. We do a lot of online coffee tasting experiences. We also operate 4 cafe sites ourselves, and that footprint is growing rapidly. And we're also landlords, so we've got tenants on site at the lawn. So really, it's as a whole, the whole business, where we can refine every aspect of the operations to just, really ensure that we're kind of bringing back waste products in and finding a secondary use for them. We're ensuring that every bit of our work is around reduce, reuse, recycle. So we've discouraged, and we do discourage buying new if we can buy second hand or upcycle something. And our staff are brilliant, actually. They've really, really embraced it. And that's the biggest challenge at the moment, like pushing that really in and through the new staff that are coming into the business, and making sure, because it's one thing everyone who's currently in the business understanding it and working with it, but we've got to keep that going, and we've got to make sure that everyone is on the same page. I'm not sure I entirely answered your question.
No, that's all right. How do your customers feel about it? Like, do you have a lot of customers that bring a reusable coffee cup in, or is that something you're trying to like educate? Because I feel like that's a bit of a behaviour change, isn't it? That you need to
kind of raise awareness a bit. And...
like, is that...
It's a really tricky one, and we've always sold, the recyclable, reusable cups, and had it as a product range for a long time. But I would suggest that there's probably 5% of the customer base that actively do that. There was a piece of research at a university where they gave every student at the start of the academic year a cup and encouraged them to go and use it when they got coffee at the cafe on site, and nobody was. And so the university switched the mentality, as in, if you aren't bringing a reusable cup, you're charged more, rather than having a discounted coffee. And it changed the landscape. So I have a secret mission. Like,
do you do that then? Do Stokes do that?
We don't know, but I do have a little mission. There's a bit of a sort of future that could be around us hosting a bit of a coffee festival in Lincoln, and bringing all the independent coffee roasters and retailers together, because there's a few now in the county, and it's becoming quite a rich network. But pushing hard, that conversation, because actually it would take everyone to do it. It's a bit like the plastic bag scheme, isn't it? That.
Well, that works because they made it. People pay for it, didn't it? That's how.
Yeah.
First 5 pence, people didn't really care. What is it now? Is it about 50 pence?
Yeah.
Suddenly people are like, oh, don't know if I want to pay 50 pence for a bag.
It
sounds awful. Like, you're always going to get the people, those few people who do care, and think, oh no, I'm going to reuse. But unfortunately, it's
just have to sort of make it easier for people to
and
push them down the right path.
Incentivizing them, I think.
We do know though, sustainability is our customers are passionate about it. We do a lot of research within our own marketing team. They cascade a lot of research out there, but we also work with the Lincoln University marketing students. I've just had a meeting yesterday actually with this year's cohort, and we decide together the brief, and then they work with us as a live client, and it's an assessed piece for their final year. But historically, the groups before have done work for us on sustainable ambitions of the public and our customer base. And actually, the way it sits is anyone under the age of about 68 is pretty passionate, and the younger the person is, the more passionate they are about sustainable practice of a business and where they support their communities and all the great B Corp stuff. I guess the over 68 market, and we have a big client base in that age group.
Get rid of them.
Well, our hybrid customers.
ID, you've got like a reverse bounce ID
don't know if we can do that.
But do you know what I think it is? I think they do it anyway. I think they're the people that save their plastic bags and reuse them.
They probably want to go in for a cup of coffee anyway, don't they? So they probably... Maybe I'm guessing here.
They are naturally reduce, reuse, recycle. They grew up through
still
those.
Doing it post-war years.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at, and so I don't think this sustainable conversation kind of chimes with them in some ways. I think they're already in some ways there. I don't know.
I definitely think some of the best companies and organisations that we see in like the impact sector, like they're not selling on impact; they just bake it into their process or bake it into their model. So it's not like, do you want the reusable cup? It's like, we do reusable cups.
Here is the reusable cup.
Have you been to Stokes before? This is how we roll.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then you make it more of a feature.
It's like when you go to Wagamama's. So it's completely different, isn't it? They say, have you been to Wagamama's before? So you all sit next to each other, next to other people. And you wouldn't really think, in other restaurants you get your own table. Yeah. But it's just how it rolls,
you
isn't
go
it?
With it. Yeah,
wouldn't it be great if Stokes was here's your reusable cup.
I suppose like obviously what we're going into is like societal change. So I suppose the coffee shop model, it's quite a good place to get it right, because that's really a community thing, isn't it? A coffee shop, people go to the coffee shop to sit and have a chat, and
it's a great place thing. To support
almost more of a ritual sometimes for some people, isn't it?
I mean, coffee shops traditionally were arts and academic spaces where, the sort of for forerunners and the people that were the real thinkers sat and debated and talked over coffee and got quite excited and
people
elevated.
wrote books.
Oh yeah.
J.K. Rowling or something wrote a book in
Well, yeah, I think you get a lot of people sitting to
can't think of anyone else
create when they're in that coffee space. But yeah, for us, the coffee shop is a unique one. I mean, there used to be coffee palaces, and like traditionally, sort of that whole
What's
evolution.
a coffee palace?
Yeah, well, it's just a very fancy place. I mean, I keep wanting to bring that back into the business. I'd love Highbridge to be the coffee palace rather than Highbridge Cafe. And cafe is a funny one because it sits in times gone by. You know, it was a cafe that sold sort of very traditional gravy lunches and things, whereas nowadays people think of a cafe as egg and chips or, you know, I don't know. But no, coffee palaces meant that there was there was a big sort of movement where religion initially were a bit anti-coffee because they saw it had an effect on people. It made them a bit more hyper or a bit more active or a bit more alert. And so religion tried to sort of downplay coffee, and then they recognised actually you'd study harder at your Bible studies if you'd had a coffee and get into it a bit more. And so they became a thing. And then it became an opportunity for people to get together, share the ritual of having a drink and a cup of tea or what have you, but away from the pub, because that was, you know, the ills of society, and drink was all this, you know, I mean, people drank beer when they were harvesting the fields and things. It was kind of just a staple drink, and ale and all that. And so coffee and coffee palaces started to replace that. And actually Stokes, previous to moving into the High Bridge, they had the Marks and Spencer's building on Lincoln High Street, which is a huge site. It's 3 floors, and that was their Arcadia coffee shop, coffee palace. I mean, it was, you know, a huge environment where lots and lots and lots of people would go in and have coffee. I've just put a piece of work together for a next new site that we're opening, and that's got such community focus. It's got a real B Corp lead to it. So within one of the sites there's a community space, so we can share that space for free with community groups and things, and do upcycling projects. We're looking at all sorts of different organisations that can bring skills into the community to help them upcycle fashion items and do clothes swaps.
Where is this?
Well, we've got one about to open at Newark.
Where is this?
That's near us.
There's another one in Lincoln.
I'll be there.
Whereabouts in Newark?
So the Travelodge Hotel.
Okay, yeah.
And then the one in Lincoln, it's a bit embargoed still. It's a bit under wraps, but
top secret.
Yeah, top secret. I wish I could tell, but things like, so one of the things I've put into it is a basket where if you've got a mug kind of graveyard in your cupboard, so everyone has about 6 mugs that are just redundant or just an overspill of mugs. So we're encouraging customers to bring them in, put them in the basket, donate them in, and then anyone who visits the coffee shop and wants to take out coffee or wants to take a coffee back to work can actually get it in a mug and then just bring it back next time when they come and visit us again.
That's nice.
And like a chatter theme. So there's a chalkboard with a bit of a a talking bench, so people can just, while they're waiting for their barista coffee to be made, there's a queue of something to chat about and discuss. Also a space for any community groups that want to share a message to the wider public or put a plea out for resources or, ask a question of the local demographic. They can come in and put that on the chalkboard. And, I think we kind of need to go back a bit to that celebration of just getting together as a community and sitting in a coffee shop.
Yeah, I think it's really needed, actually, because I was talking to someone the other day, and I think as a society we're becoming so disconnected. I think with technology, we all just sit there on our phone. Like the younger generation especially, we're probably lonelier than ever.
Order a coffee to your house kind of thing.
Yeah. Order a takeout.
You can get you can get a slice of toast delivered.
Wow.
How mad is that?
But we're forgetting how to socialise, and I think that they say that it actually makes you live longer if you have friends and if you're more social. And it's almost becoming, you could almost say it's becoming a public health crisis, isn't it?
Pandemic,
like loneliness.
The next pandemic.
Well, I don't think it helped, the pandemic, did it? So I think these are really, really needed things, aren't they, to bring communities together?
I think you're right. And I think that the pandemic did disrupt the whole experience of hospitality and going out and eating and drinking and sharing. I think it's done all sorts of things, as in it's raised everyone's aspirations around the quality of service and the delivery that they get when they come into an environment. When you invest in your money, when you can actually probably make that at home for less, or we all got into home baking and all those sort of different things through that time. But yeah, I think a coffee shop is a place where you don't ever need to feel inhibited to go in on your own. You can just go and sit and enjoy yourself. And I do think we've got to work a bit harder as well, to enable that community space. There's things like, you know, I mean, I'm really working in the digital and innovation space, but Oculus and the whole AI future. So some of the bigger global coffee chains have already gone down that route in the metaverse. So you are working from home, you put your Oculus on, you're suddenly in a coffee shop.
What's an Oculus? Is this one of these
glasses,
goggle things?
Yeah, the immersive goggles. So 360-degree immersive I mean, it's insane when you're in them. I don't know if you've ever done one, but I mean, I've sat on the floor of a jungle and a tiger walks past, and I mean, it's just so realistic. It's bizarre. I've sat in a theatre and watched a Russian ballet with no one else around me. Just, you know, it's insane. So you go into the coffee shop, you've got all the sights and the sounds of a barista experience and the buzz of a coffee shop. You haven't got the smell, which I would argue is, you know, a little bit of a deficit. And you order your barista coffee, you pay with your Apple Pay, etc., and then you take your Oculus off and sit back down and carry on doing your work, and your doorbell rings and your barista coffee arrives 5 minutes later. I mean, that's the model that is alleged to be a bit of the future, yeah.
Do you interact with people in the...
Well, you say that. I mean, I don't think you properly really can. I was actually in Grand Central Station in lockdown in my Oculus, just escaping, because you can't actually wear them for too long. I find they're quite heavy, and but I was in Grand Central Station to the point where I thought, I don't need to actually even go to New York. I've kind of experienced this now. I've done it, and I'm looking around. There's all these people milling around and tourists, and then I kind of turned to my right, and this guy next to me was kind of smiling at me, and I thought, oh my god, I've pulled on Oculus, like, do I smile back at him, like, where's this gonna go? But yeah, I don't know, maybe you can interact. I got off the headset at that point because I just felt like my desk.
I feel like
sounds
meeting people in person is, I don't know.
Sounds a bit
Maybe
dystopian.
I'm a bit old-fashioned. Maybe I'm a bit too grandma for this.
The other thing, though, you know, we have to recognise, like, the neurodiversity in the world, and there is such a big growing recognition and understanding now of neurodiverse adults, and the whole anxiety and lockdown, you know, probably brought that to the surface as well for lots of people. But for some people, social anxiety, interacting eye contact with other people, you know, is a challenge. So, yeah, maybe there's...
And even people that can't leave their homes for whatever reason, accessibility issues.
True. But I think for the majority of people, it's about going out your comfort zone and just getting used to doing these things.
Well, there is that, You've got to sort of push a bit, haven't you? I think it's about equality of opportunity, and it's that whole thing of inclusive practice, and you know, I think there'll be a myriad of ways to enjoy your coffee, and there's space for all sorts of organisations to thrive in that. I've always found it quite fascinating that if you look at the coffee market in particular, the biggest 45% of that coffee market sits in one sector only, and I assumed that the biggest lion's share of the coffee market goes to the big giants like Starbucks, Costa and Nero, but actually they just sit in a quarter of that pie, and the big 3/4 is independent coffee retailers. And that's fascinating because generally the independent retailers, there's a bit more passion and care over the product. They're local, they're probably slightly more sustainable in their practices, they're more community led.
They tend to have better coffee as well.
and well, there's a bit more care and passion put into it, perhaps, I don't know. And then in the other quarter, it's Costa sit take the biggest chunk out of that quarter. But then second to that is Greggs, and they've really come up and through and overtaken Nero and Pret. But I think that's because the UK public see Greggs as a kind of local independent business as such, because they're UK based and they're not a national. But of course, when you buy from a local independent, you put 68 pence back into your local economy. Whereas if you buy from a chain, 32 pence goes back into the local economy. So
really, wow,
it's
big difference.
You need to shop local.
That's it. Yeah, support your high street, shop local. because it's local families, you know, that are employed. It's those people are spending that money in the local community on a dance class for their child, or a swimming lesson, or a trip out to a cafe themselves at the weekend. And it's easy to forget that, really.
Yeah. So do you think all the things you're implementing with Stokes, do you think that's important for all kind of businesses to get involved in, like small, like obviously it's a bit harder with Stokes, isn't it? Because you've got lots of things going on. But...
No, I think it is. And I think the whole B Corp journey supports that. So we push hard around any procurement or contracts that we go into. How diverse are they? How diverse is their board? How big is their footprint? How what good are they at locally sourcing and locally recruiting and employing people? So it naturally pushes out a stronger narrative. We haven't gone really hugely public yet with our B Corp journey, but as their business development manager, who I do a lot of networking, so I chair Team Lincolnshire, and I chair an Arts Council board in Grimsby, and I sit on the Visitor Economy board, and I take the Stokes voice in. And so I'm doing lots of conversations at the moment where people are wanting to learn from us, and we are so happy to share our journey, because I find a lot, I'm asked advice to put into businesses. I do freelance consultancy as well, and often it's that they want to talk to me about, how do we get more sustainable? Where do we start? And it's such a joyful journey once you do start, but you just need that starting point. And you don't want to try and boil the ocean. You just start with the smallest bit and work up from there. And once you start, it really rapidly grows, and you start to spot all sorts. I say to businesses, just ask yourself, are there 3 plastic products that we're bringing into our business that we could eliminate tomorrow? And if you can just do that in the smallest way, and that was started by the Surfers Alliance and the Plastic Free
Sewage. Yeah, we did. We've joined that.
Plastic Free Lincoln. I mean, there was some. There were actually mums that got together that literally knocked on the door. It all really went big pre-COVID, and I'm not quite sure where they're at, but I was redeveloping the new Theatre Royal in Lincoln at the time, and I invited them in for a conversation, and they said, just look at that first. What 3 plastic things could you get rid of? So obviously straws straight away, quick win. But then you start really looking, and you really question. And I'm a shocker. I'm like, if I go to a public event and I've got an opportunity to say, who actually has stopped buying plastic toothbrushes, and really push that hard, because we no longer need to be doing that. We no longer need to be, you know, all that awful plastic that goes into waste every single, you know, month or 6 monthly or what have you. I found pencil highlighters. So, you know, like you buy those highlighter pens. I'm a massive fan of a highlighter pen when you're reading a document. But now you can get a pencil. I mean, my pencils are going to last me until I retire. And they highlight, you know, in exactly the same way. And it's the bit I find interesting is resources and where businesses can turn to find those sustainable resources. I'm so excited at the moment because I'm a massive fan of Nancy Birtwistle, the Bake Off lady. She's from Hull and proper local.
I know who you mean.
I don't know.
So it's all about
she's giving green tips, isn't she?
Bicarb, vinegar, lemon. Just honestly, the most green bleach. I mean, I've got rid of all of I had a cupboard full of a cleaning product for every different use, all chemical based. You'd use them and make you cough, and you think this is not good. And I'm putting all this into the environment, into the water system. And her method is amazing. Like, it's so low cost. You need to do a bit of prep. You need to, you know, refill bottles but make a bulk batch and all of that. But they work so well, and they're just old-fashioned, traditional ways and methods of cleaning, but really effective. And my secret desire is to move all of our work at Stokes over to the Nancy way and get rid of all of the chemical products that we have as cleaning products.
I mean, that's one of the small things that does have a big impact. But
it's quite hard to implement, isn't it?
What's the green bleach recipe? Because we've struggled with that, haven't we? You got like some low impact cleaning products, and then after like a few weeks we were like, oh, these do not work.
We found the cleaners don't like them because They're not as...
I think it's mainly just the bleach that's the problem.
Well, obviously they're not going to be as heavy duty as chemicals at the end of the day, are they? But
I think you have to do it a bit more often, don't you? And that sort of disrupts that traditional sort of model of a weekly clean in an organisation. And maybe it's about slightly different practices, but some of them, like the Pure Magic, that's phenomenal. I mean, that is a brilliant cleaning resource for sure. But yeah, I would argue green bleach is not quite as good as regular bleach. But I can't go back to using regular bleach now. I just couldn't.
Do you source? Where do you source it from?
So we're really lucky. Right on the doorstep of Stokes, there's I think it's called the Eco Pantry in the Bailgate.
I've heard of them now.
Yeah, and I've had a conversation with the owner to look in the next few months to bring her on site and to work with our cleaning team to do an audit of where we could transfer over, because they sell green bleach in there, and they sell all the other ingredients that you need, as well as Ecova products and the the more environmentally friendly cleaning products. And I think you just need that confidence. You need somebody who's in that space, who's really working with it and understands, what will work and what won't work. And
I suppose the big question is it more expensive? Have you tried it?
Do you know what?
Particularly for a business, I guess.
Nobody spends that much money on bleach, do they? It's not like...
Well, not just that,
it's not going to be a big ticket spend.
But eco-friendly, because obviously there's always that thing, is it more expensive because it's eco-friendly?
Yeah. Well, that's my mission as a business development manager. So our annual cleaning product bill is about $4,500 to that one site. And it's a big site. So what my journey will be with the owner of the store is to work out pound for pound difference and put a business proposal together that will show the business that actually if we move over to this, it will mean we need to slightly tweak our operations around the cleaning processes perhaps, but we will have a cost saving. And the thing that I speak a lot about with businesses and share in networking groups and things is actually when you do start to really embrace sustainable practice, you save money. It always brings like massive cost saving.
I was thinking as well when you were talking about making products out of your waste stream and stuff, I was thinking like for a lot of businesses, like going down a lower impact route can just open up more opportunities to grow your business.
I mean, when we moved into the lawn, it had been operated for a long time by the local authority as a venue, wedding venue, and so there was quite a lot of redundant furniture and sort of tat and all sorts of stuff kicking around. And because we'd invested so much into the whole move and the build, and the mentality in the business is very much reduce, reuse, recycle, every bit of the fit out was upcycled. We took all of the old furniture and we covered them in coffee sacks, and we upcycled all of the bench seating and recreated, got skillful joiners in that could help us kind of rebuild. So we've, scaffold poles and scaffold planks, and it looks really ace, and it was a help in relation to sort of a cost saving.
Yeah, nice.
Final question then.
Yes.
So we like to ask people, where do you see the world in 10 years? But also, where would you like to see it? Because sometimes there's sort of two different sides to that question.
God, that's so interesting. The world, or are we talking like...
The world. World. Are you thinking like everyone's got their goggles on and they're getting their coffee?
Do you know what? I'm an eternal optimist, right? And I do honestly, like the whole B Corp journey, the whole 2030, 2050 target that's running in through business now, that everybody is embracing quite beautifully. And the fact that things like the Better Business Act that are now, B Corp does exactly the same. It takes the emphasis away from profits into the shareholders and the board and redistributes it into the workforce. And I think we have to move away, from that huge growth model that just makes a very small percentage of society wealthy and it's redistributed. And I think that happening and this embracing of communities and supporting our local communities in a much more robust and rigorous way as businesses can only be of a great benefit, can only help with that unity. COVID and lockdown did a weird thing in the fact it was unifying. We were all in the same boat, and we don't get that unity from anywhere else, really. Religion obviously used to bring that. Everyone arrived at church and they all thought about the same things and talked about the same things, and that's dropped away in society in some ways. And so this focus on better business feels quite unifying, and it feels like we're going to help and enable, you know, the people in society that perhaps need it more than anything else. But I also think innovation, tech, that digital space, because we need that growth to support the workforce shortage. You know, we've got low birth rates in the UK. People aren't having families as young as they were, and not having as many children. And yet the growth of the industry is still there. So I think it will be a combination of just being much better and fairer in your business operations, kinder to your local community, cherishing your workforce in a different way, valuing them in a different way, and a lot of tech and innovation, a lot of digital stuff that's going to speed up some things and support some processes that then will free you up, because we've all got a bit more interested in our work-life balance. You know, we've definitely seen that disruption happen, and there's a lot of conversation now around 4-day working weeks and the benefits to society of that, and children and families, and that quality time together. So that's what I hope for.
Yeah, I think
sounds good to me.
I think definitely businesses are like new businesses that are coming up, you know, like us, like they are changing. Like they do seem to be like followers of the Better Business Act, and they treat their staff better, and technology is definitely changing. I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Good answer. Is that a wrap then?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We hope it was truly
Worth your while.
For more information, visit reuserbox.co.uk/earthyourwhile.
And if you'd like to appear on the next series of Earth Your While, please email media@reuserbox.co.uk.